Hello, and welcome to another episodic installation of the Above It All program. It is very cold for me right now, so I am drenched in a blanket, and that I may do this over the course of this program, if I need to. Right, so very cold. I'm going to be doing a news show today. A little bit of a program today. Oh God, it's happening. Oh, all right. Today is a special occasion. Consuming a soy coffee and some soy milk. I usually drink my coffee black, but I got some material for eggnog, and so I put a little bit of that in my coffee, and I'm going to be drinking that today, maybe even tomorrow, possibly if I have a little left over, and we're going to be doing a news show today. Today is the Above It All news show day. For today, we're going to be talking about the news today. That's right, no spoilers. People are like, ooh, what's she going to talk about? You're going to have to wait and find out. Some people have recommended, since I'm doing the pre-tape, that I should add like the chapter bar thing on YouTube. I'm sorry. I'm not like those other YouTubers. I'm really not. The way I treat YouTube is pretty much like I treat YouTube when I started doing this, which was in 2009. So I refuse to adapt to anything. So chapter bar, sorry about that. Not gonna happen. Maybe it will in the future. I don't know. But let's talk about Donald Trump. Colorado Supreme Court rules Donald Trump is disqualified from the presidency for January 6th riot. I would scratch this out for those writers out there. Strike through. Am I right? And I would just put insurrection, because he didn't get disqualified for a riot, right? He got disqualified for an insurrection, right? But again, look at his face. Like, I mean, it looks kind of like he has a penis coming out of his neck because of the microphone shadow. Look at this. Does anyone... The Colorado Supreme Court ruled on Tuesday that former President Donald the Orange J. Man Trump is disqualified from holding the presidency under the Constitution's so-called, I love so-called here, insurrection clause, and ordered the Secretary of State to exclude his name from the state's Republican presidential primary ballot. The landmark decision from the divided Colorado Supreme Court that Trump cannot hold public office under the Civil War era provision. It's also called the 14th Amendment. Like, I guess it's a clause too, but it's also the 14th Amendment. It's not like it's like some like little thing there. Civil War era provision. It's not like it's in like a rule book or something, like in one of the drawers in the Senate, or so. It's actually in the Constitution. It's one of the main amendments, so that were passed after the Civil War. Is unprecedented, and it marks the first time a court has found him to be ineligible to return to the White House due to his conduct surrounding the January 6, 2021 insurrection against the U.S. Capitol. Never before has a court determined that a presidential candidate is disqualified under the clause Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. So I just want to give myself a little bit of a little round of I told you so here. On January 7th, 2021, on this very show, on the Above It All program, I was talking about the 14th Amendment, Section 3. And why? Because at that time, they could have actually invoked 14th Amendment Section 3 to remove Trump from office. They could have done so to remove all the senators who supported Donald Trump's attempt to overthrow the election from office. They could have removed all the members of Congress from office if they wanted to. Now, I have said this for many, many years now, that if you look at the text on 14.3, it says if you engage in an insurrection against the U.S. or give aid and comfort to those engaging in an insurrection. On January 6th and 7th, Nancy Pelosi tried her best to ensure that no accountability, other than her sham impeachment that they all knew was never going to pass anyway. Nancy Pelosi said, no 14th Amendment. Now, if you ask me, right, okay, there's a clause, an amendment, a provision, whatever word you want to use, that says if you give aid and comfort to insurrectionists, sorry, get the fuck out, you're banned. Nancy Pelosi said all the other avenues for accountability, sorry, we're not doing that. We're going to go ahead with impeachment, even though we know the Senate will not convict him. Sounds a lot like giving aid and comfort to insurrectionists to me. So I would say under that, most of the Democratic Party should also be banned from office. I believe Cori Bush, who was new at the time to the Congress, had a something, or what, it was like one of those fucking, like you have to like sign or draft a letter, a proposal or whatever, and then it gets sent to the speaker, and the speaker's like, I will not allow this or whatever. But she had one of those that had, I think, like 50 or 60 co-sponsors. So if the 14th Amendment Section 3 were actually upheld, everyone except basically those 60 people would have been immediately expelled from office. Now I know, accountability, that would have shaken up the system. So instead we have to do this song and dance for 15,000 years, and now eventually a court has said, oh wow, all that shit you were saying on January 7th, Andrea, that they're talking to me, turns out you were spot on, except now it's so late that we can't really even do anything effectively. So, just throwing that out there. But, that's just my own little side point. I personally believe, as a historian, as a constitutionalist, I'm a firm constitutionalist. I believe the letter of the law, no interpretations. And if you give aid and comfort to an insurrectionist, I would say that counts as giving aid and comfort. That's all I'm saying. So, but aside from the fuck Nancy Pelosi train, this is an important thing because a state in this country has decided that Donald Trump is an insurrectionist. So that's precedent now, which means, now again, obviously, the U.S. Supreme Court can weigh in on such a thing. And we all know the U.S. Supreme Court's history with stealing elections. Al Gore. And so obviously they have to weigh in. With theoretically, if any state puts Donald Trump on any election ballot, that is like, could you claim that that's giving aid and comfort to insurrectionists? So if California, for example, puts Donald Trump's name on the ballot, now they know Donald Trump probably wouldn't win in the general election, right? But they're still pretending like he's eligible for office. Isn't that giving aid and comfort to someone who engaged in an insurrection? So would the Secretary of State of California be held under the same standard and expelled from office? That's what should happen. If we followed the law, that's what would happen. But again, we live in La La Land. We live in Fucksville, right? So that probably wouldn't happen. But again, this is going to be really interesting to watch how this one develops. It really is, especially because the primaries for the Republicans and the Democrats are coming up soon, and that's going to be a whole shit show. But yeah, they got him. The big man has been 14-3'd, and I just want to take full credit for this. Obviously, I'm a super genius, and I can see the future, right? That's why I'm able to predict things with extreme accuracy, is because I can see the future. So, just throwing that one out there. But again, engage in an insurrection, check. He was the perpetrator, ringmaster of the insurrection, check. Now, what we still have to check are those who gave aid and comfort to that guy, which to me is the entire Republican Party in most of the Democratic Party. That's the way I see it. Gave aid and comfort to Donald Trump. So, I think that's a little fucked up. But what are you going to do? There you go. Time to drink more soy. You may be able to hear sounds. Max the dog is currently deciding to destroy the television and knock everything down because a tennis ball went under the stand. So that's what's currently happening. Up. So there he is. Surprise appearance. Max the dog, everybody. Max, I'm talking about you. Yeah. So this is a weird story. This one, I'm honestly like, sometimes I read news stories kind of like this one I'm about to show you, and I rethink, like, do I know how to read? Do I understand the English language? Or is this shit just bizarre? Like, you know, like, you ever see something and it's like, wait a second. You know? So, I'm just going to show you the headline here. I'm going to read the whole thing here. Or at least most of it. And I just want you to react. You know, like, just sit back. Pretend you're one of those reaction YouTube channels. And just, like, just look at the headline. And just, what is your experience? So, check this one out. After police cruiser crashes into Missouri bar co-owner is arrested. And then it shows a picture of a police car basically driving into a building. So police cruiser crashes into Missouri bar owner is arrested. Chad Morris, co-owner of Bar Pum in St. Louis, Mo, is facing assault charges, but his husband claims officers jumped him. So let me get this straight. You own a bar. Now, you may have noticed this, by the way. His husband, a gay bar, or at least a gay person who owns a bar. Famous for never being targeted by police, ever. Police attacking minorities for fun? That's never happened. When? Can you point to any example? Obviously, besides this one. So a car driven by a police officer barrages through the building's front gate, and then the bar owner is arrested. Like, I'm just like, now again, we're going to get some more details here, but it's like, I just really need you to marinate on this one. Now, I just, real quick before we start, I want to remind people how the law works in this country, the legal system. A police officer or anyone in that, like, realm of the court can charge you with any crime for any reason. They don't need to have facts. They don't even need to have an argument. They can charge you with any crime for any reason at any time. Then you are forced at gunpoint to take days off of work and lose money and go sit in a courtroom for hours upon hours upon hours, possibly even days if you get constantly continued by the state. So multiple days, sometimes multiple weeks of missing pay, held a gun to your head. What happens if you leave the courtroom? Right? What happens? Gangsters will track you down, right, using surveillance technology and point guns at you until you go back into the courtroom, right? And they can do this without any evidence. And it is up to you to prove that you did not do these things. That's how our legal system works. How do I know this? Because when I would engage in protests, I've had fake charges put against me, which required me, at gunpoint, they have a gun to my head, right? Now, it might be holstered in their fucking band or whatever, but if I got up and left, what would happen? They would point the gun at me if I tried to leave, right? And then they would say, nope, now you belong in a steel cage for committing no crime. right? So again, you're held at gunpoint. Essentially, you're enslaved, which is against the 13th Amendment, except for, again, unless you commit a crime, which in this instance, they haven't proven the crime. So essentially, police can temporarily enslave you for any period as long as they want, pretty much however long they want, as many times as they want, and they don't have to have any evidence whatsoever. And then it's up to you to prove why you don't deserve to be sold into the state's official slavery ring. That's essentially how the legal system works. So I want everyone to understand that. So this guy is charged with assault. Now, could it have been like maybe they were trying to track him down because he was beating someone up previously and he's like the fucking St. Louis fucking puncher and he's going around punching people, you know? That's possible. But let's find out. A bar owner was arrested in connection with an alleged assault. Now again, notice the language here. Now if you see this one, editor's note, this article has been updated to add details from a statement issued by the St. Louis Police Department. So I want you to, now again, this language is designed to obfuscate the point, obfuscate the facts, cover it up like camouflage, right? And to confuse the shit out of you. So again, when I was saying this earlier, what? Okay. A bar owner was arrested in connection. In connection? What does that mean? With an alleged assault after officers crashed into his Missouri bar. However, a witness claimed he was jumped by officers prior to his arrest. So again, it's written to make it seem like, let's say police were chasing down the fucking St. Louis Strangler or some shit, right? And then he like dove into the bar and like in like an action movie, they crashed into the bar and arrested him for like trying to kill 17 grandmas like a couple streets ago. Is that really what happened? I don't think so. It sounds to me like they were like, oh, look, the gays, and then they just wanted to attack them and destroy their property and then fuck them up for no reason. That's what it seems like. But that would, in order for my theory to be correct, that would require cops to have lied, which of course we know is not possible. Chad Morris, co-owner of Bar Pum in St. Louis, Missouri, has been charged with assault and resisting arrest following the incident on Monday. So let me get this straight. Now, I want to ask you a question. If you, let's say you're in your wherever living space or workspace, something that you have that's your personal space, if you have such a thing, and a vehicle crashes through the wall, theoretically injuring people that were near the door, we don't know what that situation was like, wouldn't your first instinct be, holy shit, someone's trying to fucking kill me and kill my bar patrons or kill my roommates or kill my family? Let me go defend myself and proactively get rid of the attackers. Now, I'm not even saying that this guy did that, but if he did do that, it would be completely fucking justified. If some freak, crazy, drunk psycho crashes a car through your fucking wall, it would be extremely reasonable to get up and try to defend you, especially if you have customers, especially if you have your spouse is there and you want to protect your spouse, right? Wouldn't that make sense? Now, under all logical situations, now again, I'm not even saying that happened. I don't even believe that happened. But that is like the only scenario here where you could charge the guy with assault, right? And now, obviously, I think he should be found innocent, but it's like, theoretically there, but that it's not even likely that happened. It's likely that they just jumped out of the car and beat the shit out of him for no reason, and then later on said, I think he assaulted me. What do you think? Yeah, he assaulted me. Is it on the cameras? No. Well, get rid of the cameras. Yeah, he assaulted me, man. Yeah. Like they're fucking like Muppets or something. Now, again, let's just keep reading this. This is from People magazine, by the way. I don't know why any of these magazines love sucking cop dick so much, but hey, whatever. A police cruiser crashed into the bar on early Monday morning, police said, according to Fox 2. in the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. Javad Kazali, who identified himself as the attorney for the bar owners on Twitter, shared a clip of the police cruiser hitting the bar and claimed that the police were the aggressors. Now again, the cops literally drove through the front door. Now, though I need to scroll up here, they drove through the front door with a car in a business that was theoretically open with people inside. And we're only like 3 paragraphs in, and according to People magazine, it's totally debatable. Who knows what really happened? Like, do we really have to live in such a stupid fucking country where media publications like this are just so fucking goddamn stupid? The cops drove through the fucking front door. And we're supposed to believe it's just, no one knows. Justified or not justified? Well, they had to go arrest him for resisting arrest. You know, the thing he only would have theoretically done if you would have... So you have to... It's like time... Like, we're supposed to believe cops are time travelers. Like, they knew this guy was going to commit the fatal crime of resisting arrest. Right? So they had to drive through the front door with a car that could have killed people, so that they could preemptively, like Minority Report, arrest the guy who is resisting arrest. And according to People magazine, we don't really know. Could be anything. Anything could happen. We don't really know. In the probable cause affidavit, an officer said they were responding to an officer-involved accident at the location. Now, what does that mean? Are they referring to the car that drove through the fucking goddamn front door? Or are they referring to, like, was a fucking cop, held hostage in the basement, like Hamas style or some shit? Like, what? Or my theory, they're time travelers, right? And they knew that they were going to crash into the car or crash into the fucking wall. And so they preemptively called in a report of an officer-involved accident and then said, all right, let's fucking floor it. And then they drove through the fucking front door. According to the affidavit, the responding officer was helping with the investigation when Morris began to yell and scream obscenities, causing a disturbance. Now, again, I just want to ask you a couple questions here. Now, again, you're sitting in your room, you know, jerking off and playing video games, and someone drives through your fucking wall, and you naturally respond, whoa, what the fuck is going on? Now, who in this instance is causing the disturbance? Think about it. Okay. The person driving through the fucking window with an SUV? Theoretically almost killing people if they were standing near the door, which happens a lot in bars? Or the person responding to such a situation? Note, so these fuckers drove through the front fucking door, destroying an entire wall, and then the cops say the bar owner was causing a disturbance. What? Can someone translate this to me, to English for me? Because this has to be an alien language. He added that Morris allegedly hit him after the officer asked him to wait so that they could speak a bit later. Now, again, even if he did do that, completely justified. If someone, I don't give a shit you're a cop or not. Oh, you're a cop, so you get to drive through my entire wall, destroy my business, traumatize my customers so that they would be afraid of coming back to me, coming back to my business, right? Are the cops going to pay to fix the wall? No. And if they would, it would be like, oh, please wait for 7 years or something so that we can give you your stipend or whatever. And then what are they supposed to do? Shut that, right? So think about it. It would be completely reasonable to punch this guy. Oh, but they're a cop. Oh, so they can commit any crimes that they want and nothing bad can ever happen to them. Now, I don't even believe that this guy hit the cop. I don't. I really don't. But even if he did, it was completely justified. I mean, honestly, my opinion, even if a cop didn't ostensibly do anything wrong, it still probably would be justified. Because, again, cops are agents of the state. The state acts fascistically, so they're basically neo-Nazis, right? They're soldiers for power. The entire purpose of police are to cull the population of undesirables. Who gets to choose who's undesirable? People in power, right? So they choose minorities. They choose poor people. They choose all kinds of people that they don't like, specific targets, political targets, right? And cops are just unthinking neo-Nazi agents, right? So I would say it's almost, if we can have the classic debate, is it okay to punch a Nazi? We can have that debate 12 times a Sunday. But here's the question. Is it okay to punch a Nazi who just drove through your fucking wall? Is that okay? I would say a lot more people would be on board with that. But okay, let's keep going. James Pence, co-owner of the bar and Morris's husband, gave a different account. There were several police officers that jumped him, he said, according to the Riverfront Times. 3 of them, officers, went for him. He raised his arm and they said he hit them. He claimed later, per the outlet. He claimed authorities placed him in handcuffs as well after they asked for his identification following the crash. This is a quote from one of the owners. That's a police cruiser in my building. You don't need to see my ID. This is not how this works, he said when the authorities asked him for... I agree. Now again, imagine you are not a cop. You drive through someone's fucking front door, destroying their entire wall, potentially killing people inside, and then you just hop out and start, show me your papers. Where are your papers? Hey, are you gay? Papers, please. Where are your gapers? Hello? Excuse me. Gay? Are you gay? Please show me your identification. Like, if it were anyone but a cop, obviously, right? Right? You know how that would end. But police, for some reason, say okay. What? This is the guy in question here. Not the guy who's being charged with assault and resisting arrest, but the other guy who witnessed the whole thing. When the crash took place, Morris was closing up the bar when another bar employee in Pence was in the residence above the bar. Quote, I was in bed. I heard a loud bang. I felt the building shake. I ran down from upstairs. He added that the officer behind the wheel apologized and said he literally swerved to miss a dog. Now, we all know that that's not true because cops love killing dogs. So that's a fact. That's a verifiable fact. But like, really? You expect me to believe this? The cops accidentally drove through the bar that happens to be owned by gay people, jumped out, and immediately started beating the shit out of one of the gay people by accident. It's totally accidental. We accidentally saw a dog and accidentally swerved and accidentally hit the guy that we've been plotting to target for months, and then accidentally got out of the car and then accidentally started beating the shit out of someone with no witnesses. It's all accidental. And according to People magazine, it's up in the air. No one really knows. Jesus fuck. Police gave a different account in a statement shared with People. Oh, wow. Oh. They said the driver believed he was traveling too close to a parked car and swerved, causing the crash. So, at the time, the cop says, oh man, sorry, there's a dog or something. Later on, they realize, no, wait, fuck, we love killing dogs. They're never going to believe this. So that instead of just sticking with the first story and keeping it consistent, they just changed the story. It wasn't a dog, it was a car. Because that actually is believable. Because, again, what is the goal of cops? To protect property owned by rich people. A car is a lot more valuable than a human or a dog, according to police. So that actually does make more sense. But when you pair that in with the first story, then it's like, why'd you lie in the first place? And if you're lying, well, why should we believe you the second time? And according to People, we don't really know. No idea. Wow. Oh, great. No officers were injured. Huh. Isn't that wonderful? A judge determined on Monday that Morris will be held without bond and says he poses a threat to the community. I need you to... Now, again, this is how I know that this is just organized, targeted political violence against somebody. because the judge is in on it. So let me get this motherfucking straight. Cops drive through someone's front door, destroying an entire wall, potentially killing people. They don't know who's on the other side of the door. Get out. Beat the shit out of someone. Arrest him for resisting arrest. And the judge says that that guy poses a threat to the community? That's because he's gay. I need you all to understand. This is a gay bashing. This is a 2023 state-sanctioned gay bashing. That's what this is. I need you all to understand this. Police exist for one reason: to cull the population of undesirables, right? Which again, also, I guess you can add a 1B, protect the property of the rich people, right? Rich people hate gay people. Cops, because they're neo-Nazis, agents of the rich, also hate gay people. It's not necessarily legal to just go around and kill people willy-nilly. So they do is they use their power of the state to just ruin people's lives for no reason. This is a state-sanctioned gay bashing. But if you're reading this on People magazine, you don't really know. You have no idea what happened. So I saw this, and I was like, there's no way that it's this brazen. And then I read the article, and I'm like, there's no way that the article is just going 50-50 on this, right? The cops, like, there's a fucking header image. They drove through the front door. They drove through the motherfucking front door, and this is up in the air. This is the world we live in. I need people to really understand. This shit is fucked. This is not good by any stretch of the imagination. This guy is a threat to the community. This guy, the guy who had his bar driven in through, is a threat to the community. Not the police officers that are driving through walls. They're not threats to the community. We're going to give them guns to pacify the population. I fucking can't. Yeah. Wow. I mean, again, really, a picture is worth 1,000 words here. Do you really need to read the article? Like, honestly, like, this is one of those things. So you don't even need to read the headline. Fuck the headline. Just look at the picture. And with the added context that, oh, it's a gay bar, it all makes fucking sense. No shit. Oh my goodness. That shit's crazy, man. I struggle sometimes. Reading the news. Hi, Max. I'm speechless. I'm not gonna lie. I have nothing else to say. So, next up in fucked up bullshit world, check this out. A woman who had a miscarriage is now charged with abusing a corpse as stricter abortion laws play out nationwide. An Ohio woman. Now, I believe recently Ohio voted in favor of abortion rights, but of course this happened before that. An Ohio woman who had sought treatment at a hospital before suffering a miscarriage and passing her non-viable fetus in her bathroom now faces a criminal charge. Brittany Watts, 33, of Warren, has been charged with felony abuse of a corpse. Trumbull County court records show. Miss Watts suffered a tragic and dangerous miscarriage that jeopardized her own life. Rather than focusing on healing physically and emotionally, she was arrested and charged with a felony. Miss Watts' case is pending before the Trumbull County grand jury. I have advised her not to speak publicly until the criminal matter has been resolved. Though a coroner's office report said the fetus was not viable and had died in the womb, Watts' case highlights the extent to which prosecutors can charge a woman whose pregnancy has ended, whether by abortion or How much do you want to bet that someone involved in the prosecutor's office has like a personal vendetta against this woman? 9 times out of 10, this is how like the state does these fucking fake charges. After last year's Supreme Court decision overturning blah, 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 in turn, blah, 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 we already know this. When asked whether the charge against Watts may have been influenced by the repeal of Roe v. Wade, her attorney said ignorance is the main factor. I believe that this charge stems from lack of knowledge and or insight that men have regarding the realities of miscarriage and women's health in general. No, I'm going to tell you that's not, you don't need to turn this into a men versus women thing. This is not a men versus women thing, okay? I'm pretty sure 10 out of 10 men in the world understand that having a miscarriage is not really something you can control, and that when you have a miscarriage, you're not abusing a corpse, right? This is not a man versus woman thing. I know that's popular in the media, like, oh, pit everyone against each other. I'm sorry, I'm going to say no on that one. This is a fucked up freak who wants to control other people and gets off and loves to jerk off and masturbate over the fantasy of them having like ultimate power over other people, right? And then they go into politics in order to fulfill that fantasy so that their nightly jerk off sessions are much more satisfying. That's all this is, okay? This isn't a fucking, well, they're a man, so they don't really know that a miscarriage is not abusing a corpse because they're a man. I'm sorry, I know, I get it, I understand. But that's just, I don't buy that one here. This is an abuse of power, right? That's what it is, right? Calling it anything else is obfuscating the point here a little bit, and I don't agree with the attorney saying that. That's just my opinion. I don't believe the fetal personhood issue was something they considered or found relevant. I believe the case demonstrates the need for education. The idea that it's an honest mistake. I'm sorry, this shit is not an honest mistake. When the media and lawyers and professionals in this business pretend like Republicans being insane fucked up psychos is always like the cop story it was an honest mistake that they specifically drove into the gay guy's bar and then beat the shit out of him and then arrested him for resisting arrest and then held him without bail because it's all a mistake. No one knew anything. We're all just fucking stupid, okay? Now that I do believe. I do believe that they're fucking stupid, but this is purposeful. This is not a mistake. The idea that they just, if only they were like, they didn't sleep in that one classroom in fucking 9th grade, then they would have known better. Like, that's not real. That's not what's going on here. This is abuse of power. This is a power dynamic that plays out on the population. People in the state want to control the population, want to become slave owners, want to feel like they're super power trippers, so they do this kind of shit. They're not doing it because they're fucking, they misheard fucking Mrs. Berkeley's lecture in fucking 9th grade health class. That's not because of education, okay? I need you to all understand. Now, again, they are really stupid. That is a factor here, but them committing crimes against people and destroying people's lives is not a result of lack of education, okay? It's a result of them being fucked up psychopathic freaks, okay? I don't even need to read the rest of this, honestly. I mean, like, this, she should have had a medically assisted situation, but again, doctors don't want to deal with that, even though in some states, I don't know if Ohio is one of them, in some states there are exceptions. You may hear this talking point, the life of the mother, the life of the mother. How do you feel about the life of the mother? Should we do this if it's a life of the mother? This is a big talking point, like Israel has a right to defend itself, the life of the mother, the life of the mother, right? It doesn't mean anything because what you're in, let's play it out, right? So a doctor sees that the life of the mother is under risk, right? So they perform the abortion. Then they get arrested and charged. And then they're going in and out of court for several years that they probably lose their job because they can't show up on time. And maybe they win the case 5 years later and they say, yeah, well, her life was at risk, so you won the case, but then you're missing out on 5 years worth of regular work, right? So doctors are just going to not do that. Why? Because they don't want to lose their fucking jobs because they're all pussies. Doctors actually don't care about do no harm. Doctors typically don't give a shit about the fucking Hippocratic Oath. I think that's the one. Right, so they're just going to say, yeah, your life is at risk. Yeah, theoretically, we could help you, but we're going to say no because my paycheck is more important than your life. And again, can you really blame them in this capitalist society, right? So again, life at a mudda doesn't really mean anything. People just say it. Now, again, I don't know if Ohio was one of those life exemptions things. But again, it doesn't matter because 99% of the time doctors are just going to say no, because saying no is a lot easier than spending most of the rest of your life going through court battles. It just is. That's just a matter of reality. That's just a fact of the world we live in. People are pussies. People are cowards. They never want to help people. They never want to do the right thing. They'll always take the path of least resistance because we live in the fucking with a goddamn disgusting, cowardly, pusillanimous population, and they're just fucking. Look at that. I mean, just look at the people around in this country. They refuse to wear a mask during an airborne pandemic because they're that fucking cowardly, right? So Again, this is just a situation where everyone involved tortured this woman, and they're using the state to torture her more. It's an extended torture sesh, right? John Kramer from the Saw franchise can add nothing on motherfuckers that wield state power, right? This is way worse than getting put into one of those Saw traps, let me tell you. And again, like, why do they do this? It's not because of ignorance. It's not because of a lack of education. It's because they are fucking power tripper, power hungry, fucked up. Like, they're just fucked up. They have like a fucking virus in their brain that causes them to seek and destroy fellow humans. I really don't know what it is. That's the Republican mind virus. They want to spend their life. They have one life on this planet. They want to spend that life attacking and destroying and denigrating other people for no reason. And that's pretty much what we're dealing with here. That's why we see war. That's why we see genocide. That's because people love to just attack innocent people for no reason. I don't know. Like, I about this. Buy a weed whacker and become a landscaper. You might get a similar, maybe, look into becoming animal control. Maybe look into becoming, what are those, the guys that get the bugs out of the pest control? Like, maybe look into that if you have, like, an uncontrollable lust for destruction and attacking innocent creatures, right? Now, we can have a conversation. Do cockroaches deserve to be killed? I don't know. If they're in my kitchen, I'm going to say, fuck yeah, bitch, right? And that's, like, in my opinion, I'm just being honest with you. I'm going to say, I don't mind complete eradication of cockroaches in my kitchen. Get those guys in there and kill them all. Let God sort them out, right? But again, notice I don't say that about fellow humans. So if you want to have, like, weird, fucked up power fantasies, go into that kind of field. Don't become a prosecutor. Don't become an attorney. Don't become a judge. Don't become a cop. But we live in a society that allows psychopaths to just, like, take a quiz and then fail the quiz, because if you pass the quiz, you get rejected. It's a trick quiz. If you're too smart, they won't let you actually into these positions, right? You fail a quiz, then you get a gun, and then you can go do whatever the fuck you want and go on a terror spree. Again, the most prolific serial killers of all time are U.S. politicians and cops. These are the most prolific serial killers of all time. But again, we're spending all of our days in fucking talking, ooh, the Unabomber and the fucking Jeffrey Dahmer and all these guys. Like, those guys have nothing on the average police officer when it comes to pain and terror that's been enacted on other people for no reason. So again, I don't even know how we live in this world, but we do. And it kind of sucks. I'm not gonna lie to you. It kind of sucks living here. But let's keep going. So this is, I talk about COVID on my show a lot because, one, because I live in the real world, and two, because I live in the fucking real world, you stupid bitch. How's that? And I've been talking a lot about how COVID basically accelerates your aging. So what it does is, let's say you're 21 years old, you get hit by COVID, you get told by the president, it's okay, Jack, get COVID 20 more times. Right, then you find out you're 25 years old and your liver is equivalently damaged to, like, a 75-year-old alcoholic who's been drinking since 9th grade. How did that happen? Why? Well, because COVID ages your organs. And here's an example. This is a little bit of an older article here. And again, this has been science that's been reported for years now. And, people have been asking me to bring one of these up again, so I am. Long COVID's brain fog is akin to aging 10 years, study finds. Now, I've mentioned stuff like this many times before. And for those of you that don't know, what is your brain? Your brain is an organ, right? That's one of many organs. You have more than one organs in your body, and COVID fucks your organs up. So check this out. People struggling with long COVID or the persistence of symptoms after an initial COVID-19 infection can face cognitive difficulties such as brain fog and memory problems. Now, a study finds the severity of these symptoms is comparable to the brain aging 10 years. Now, we're not talking about, like, 10 years of wiser, with more wisdom. No, we're talking about you could be 20 and have the brain of a 30-year-old who hasn't slept in a decade. You can be 50 and have the brain of, like, a fucking retiree who, like, was breathing in Agent Orange, right? That's what we're dealing with here. So again, I have said multiple times on my show that there have been cases of teenagers, people in high school being diagnosed with early onset dementia. How is that possible? COVID is how it's possible, you stupid fucker, right? And then also, people love to talk about genetic predisposition. You got genetic predisposition, man. It's gonna happen no matter what. Your choices don't matter at all, man. It's all genes, man. Some people actually believe that because they're fucking stupid, right? So if you have a genetic predisposition to something, and you put it in a fucking, and think about, like, y'all ever see Dragon Ball? You know about Dragon Ball, the hyperbolic time chamber, you know, when they're about to fight Cell? Remember Cell? Holy shit, when we thought that guy was crazy, he couldn't be stopped. They go in the hyperbolic time chamber, then they go Super Saiyan in there, they come out the next day, but then fucking goddamn Trunks has the long ass hair. How did his hair get so long? Why? Because it's the hyperbolic motherfucking time chamber. One day is 1 year, right? They go in there, they're in there for a year, they're in there for a day. As far as you're concerned, that's basically COVID in your brain. It goes into your brain, it accelerates the aging of your brain so much so that in one year, your brain can accelerate an age by 10 years. You can have a 43-year-old brain as a 30-year-old. How cool is that? But let's all go to Christmas parties. Let's all go to Thanksgiving. Let's go celebrate New Year's in the middle of that stupid fucking intersection in New York. I forget what it's called, right? And let's all pretend like none of this is happening because I'm an American. I'm fucking selfish. I'm stupid. I want to go to Starbucks. I want to go to Wendy's. I want to go to Applebee's. Blue, 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 blue. I hate my kids, so I want to send them to school so that they get sick and die early. Blue, 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 blue. Look at me. I'm an American. Let's keep going. The fact remains that at 2 years on from their first infection, some people don't feel fully recovered. Interesting. It's almost like when people recover from COVID, it's actually that they're just adapting to a new normal of a lower quality of life, and they just forget how life used to be. It's almost like that. Have you ever like gotten like maybe like a physical injury? Not too long ago, I fucked up my foot. And I couldn't walk for like a week or something. And I mean, I could, like, I didn't break my foot, right? But walking caused pain. So like it changed my behavior in a rapid overnight way, it changed my behavior. And, you know, after about 5 or 6 days, I kind of forgot what like walking, like having like perfect mobility was like. And I was like, man, I guess this is the new normal now. Now imagine that's COVID. And imagine it's not like something as obvious as you fucked up your foot or something. Imagine it's something more devious. Like you don't even know you got injured at all because the president called you Jack and you think that is like a super beam. The president, like, you know, like the Dark Brandon laser eyes, right? As soon as the president says Jack, like the beam goes into your eyeballs and eradicates the virus from your entire body. That's what most people believe. If you ask most Americans, they believe COVID is no longer real, even though all the evidence points in the other direction. But don't worry, let's go play fucking baseball. Don't worry, guys, let's go to the fucking concert. Let's go see Taylor Swift. Let's go see all your stupid fucking bands that I wonder why they sound so bad nowadays. I wonder why all the singers are struggling to actually hit all the high notes. Couldn't be the fact that they're getting fucking COVID 9,000 times to Sunday and it's destroying their body. No, couldn't be that at all. They've always sounded like shit. All your singers, all your favorite singers, they've always sounded like complete shit, right? Right? Ha! There's no such thing as COVID. It's not real. It's not real. If we don't acknowledge it, then it's not real, guys. Just like the climate change. If we don't acknowledge it, it's not real. When hurricanes are coming through your fucking windows, we just close our eyes and go, la, 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 and the hurricane stops dead in its tracks because it's not real. The climate's not changing. Viruses don't actually hurt you. In fact, they make you superpowered. If you don't get viruses, you have immunity debt. Ha ha ha. Americans are so fucking stupid, but it's just humans in general. It's so fucking stupid. You creatures. You absolute fucking morons. You stupid fucking Neanderthals. All of you motherfuckers that are going to in-person events without a mask on, you are dumber than the dog shit I stepped in this morning. Okay, motherfucker? You're that fucking stupid. You are fucking dumb. You are not fit to survive in this world, and I wish you were. I've been trying to tell you motherfuckers, but some motherfuckers don't listen. Some motherfuckers, they see it rain and they go like, well, la 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 la, I'm dry now. Woo! I'm dry. Oh, I'm getting pelted by the rain. Boo, 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 boo. La, 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 la. Jack, boom, and the rain disappears. Right, that's not how the world works. Okay, you stupid fucking idiots. You fucking ungrateful cocksucker morons. Right, just because, well, my daddy told me I gotta go to school doesn't mean it's okay for you to get infected with COVID 19,000 times and have the liver of an alcoholic when you're only 17 years old. That's not fine. There's nothing okay about this, right? The same parents that say, I would do anything for my babies, are sending them to the fucking COVID factory so that they die like 20 years younger than them. Wow, you would do anything for your babies, right? No, you wouldn't, you selfish fucking narcissistic freak. The only reason you even had kids in the fucking first place is just because you're too bored with your life. Your life fucking sucked and you wanted to spice it up a little bit. And you're like, whoa, what if I just created another person to control and inflict my power fantasies on? You don't actually give a fuck about your kids. If you're sending your kids to public school, let's face it, let's be honest about ourselves. If you send your child to public school during an airborne pandemic, you don't give a fuck about them. Let's just be honest. Let's just be honest. Let's just be real about it, okay? You just don't. Because if you would, quote, do anything for your kids, you know what you would do? You would get a fourth job and pay for them to go to one of those private schools where they actually mandate masks. You know, the one that the rich people send their kids to? I know. It shouldn't have to be like that, but guess what? You decided to have a kid in a fucked up capitalist system, not me. You said, I would do anything for my babies. Apparently not. You wouldn't do anything. Getting a fourth job so you can send them to school with like a fucking school that doesn't get them infected over and over again, that's too much for you. Or maybe homeschooling them, that's too much for you. You should have thought through this shit before having a stupid fucking kid. I'm just being honest with you. I'm being honest with you. I give no sympathy to parents. I know most other shows are like, oh, the parents, the backbone of society. Fuck that noise. Fuck that shit. Fuck the parents. Now, again, I know a lot of parents are doing the best they can. Is this the best you can? Look at the world. Look at society. Is this the best you can? Really? You can't do any better? You can't do any better. Really? Really? Now, if parents really gave a shit about their kids, wouldn't they be, I don't know, unifying and revolting against the government that forces their kids to get a disease over and over and over again that shortens their lifespan? Wouldn't that be, if parents truly gave a fuck at all about their kids' well-being and would, quote, do anything for their children, isn't that something they would do? Wouldn't they go to, like, fucking, at the very least, go to the school board and say, hey, what the fuck's going on here? Huh? But they're not, because they wouldn't do anything for their kids. They're just narcissistic fucking freaks. Most, I would say 98 to 99% of parents only have kids because they're, one, stupid and they take the path of least resistance. Whoops, we got pregos. Let's just have the kid anyway, even though we're not financially stable whatsoever and we're all fucking emotional train wrecks. Let's just pass that on down to the next generation, right? Or they're narcissistic fucking freaks, like the kind of guys that are like, yes, I'm going to continue the family name. Oh, I want a son to pass my name to. That kind of fucking shit, right? Both of those groups are 98 to 99% of parents. I'm sorry if that hurts your feelings. I'm sorry. I know I got parents in my audience. I hate to be the bearer of bad news here, but think about it. Think about it. Look at the world. Everyone says I would do anything for my kids, and look at the world. I don't know, man. I don't know. You tell me. You tell me. Someone's lying. Someone's not telling the truth here. The kids are too fucking dumb. They're kids. They don't know what the hell's going on. Can you imagine a 9-year-old knowing how to read medical reports, knowing what brain aging even is? They don't know this shit. They fucking outsource that kind of protection to their parents who don't give a fuck about them. That's what they do. They go, Mom, please protect me. Dad, please protect me. I'm 8. And then the parents are like, I will do anything to protect you, little Timmy. And then send them to COVID factories. It's fucking ridiculous. I hate this world. I really do. I'm not gonna fucking mince words with you guys. I hate the planet Earth. The planet's fine. I hate human civilization. I hate my fellow human because my fellow human are lying fucking scumbags. They're scumbags. Now, again, I'm not trying to say all parents are evil, but look at the world. Like, it's a strong 98 to 99% of them are just beyond repair. Like I'm just, and again, I don't want to say this. I wish that wasn't the case. I wish that when parents said, we would do anything for you, little Timmy, they actually meant it and they would do that kind of stuff. But no, people want a shortcut to have meaning in their lives. They're too fucking unskilled to have meaning through, like, a skill of some kind. They're too fucking boring. They're too unartistic and uncreative to have, like, meaning through art, right? So they have to procreate. They have to have stupid little kids so that they can torture them, so that they can pass down their generational traumas all the way down to the next generation and fuck them over while constantly gaslighting them and causing psychological disorders in their offspring, right? Because guess what happens? When your parents tell you, I would do anything for you, little Timmy, I would do anything for you, little Timmy, while they're sending you to COVID factories and you're sick constantly and you get dementia when you're 19 years old, that's gonna fuck with your ability to actually understand the world. Wait, you're telling me people lie all the time? Wow! And it's not even just politicians. It's your parents. It's your family. They all lie to you because that's the standard condition. That's the American mantra. Lie, lie, lie to your kids, lie to your friends, lie to your family, lie to your loved ones, lie to everyone, lie to yourself. Because if we can't be honest with ourselves, are we really capable of raising children? Motherfuckers that still don't even know right from wrong are raising children. Motherfuckers that don't understand what child abuse is are having and raising children. I don't know, man. Sounds to me like we need a complete and total shutdown of this whole kid thing. Because you ever meet these new parents, by the way? You ever meet, oh, sorry, I can't do that. Got a kid. Oh, sorry, I can't do that. Got a kid. Oh, sorry, I can't do that. Got a kid. What can you do? What can you fucking do? Besides go work 3 fucking jobs, make your kids some stupid fucking low quality meal that gives them all kinds of fucking digestive issues, digestive disease, heart conditions, liver disease, just from the food that you're feeding your kids. But you would do anything for your kids, except for, I don't know, maybe not having a kid for a couple more years while you figure your own shit out and maybe save up or maybe move to a different location so that you don't have a kid in a stupid fucking environment where the schools fucking suck and the taxes fucking suck and everything fucking sucks. Or maybe you wouldn't do anything for your kid. Maybe you're just a selfish fucking loser who wants to have meaning in their life so desperately that you choose the easiest fucking path. Oh, I know, let's procreate. Now I have meaning in my life. Woo, look at me. Now, I'm not trying to sit here and say that, oh, you're working 2 jobs, go fuck yourself. Because, you know what? A lot of people work 2 jobs. But what I am saying is, if you are in that kind of environment and you're choosing to bring a child into that environment, that is, by order of definition, abusive. It is abusive. I'm sorry. If you want to raise a child in a destitute environment full of disease and suffering and despair, that is abuse in my book, okay? I did not consent to be raised by a poor mother. I did not consent to have family members that hated each other and took it out on me. I did not consent to get fucking disease ridden as a kid because my parents didn't know how to feed me properly. I did not consent to be almost homeless when I was a fucking teenager because my mom lost her house because of the fucking financial crisis and because she fucking, I'll tell that story another time. But I didn't consent to any of that. And yet I was forced to go through that. And I'm still trying to get out of that fucking mental fucking hellhole that fucking shit brought onto me. But there's people that are younger than me that have dealt with worse shit in their lives, having kids that have done less mental work to prepare themselves for it. And they're just passing it down. Yeah, my childhood sucked. Let's just make my kids' childhood suck even more. That'll distract me from how shitty my childhood was. And we just keep going and going and going. Now again, I get it. You didn't know. You didn't know that there would be a pandemic. You had a kid in 2018. You didn't know. I get it. You didn't fucking know. I'm not trying to say you're a terrible person for that. It's a mistake. You had your kid in 2013. They're still school age. You didn't know there'd be a pandemic in 10 years. But you know now. You know that we're in a pandemic now. And if you're sending your kid to school during an airborne pandemic with anything less than like a P100, either you admit to yourselves you are narcissistic, fucked up psychopaths and you love abusing your kids and you don't actually believe that you would do anything for your children, either you admit that or you actually become a fucking reasonable parent and protect your kid at all costs. Because it's only going to get worse. Climate change, by the way, which is real, is going to be intersecting, which it already is, with disease and COVID and pandemics, which are real. And that's not going to be easy. So I just got to say this also. People having kids now? My only condition where it's acceptable to have a kid, even though you know you can't properly raise them, is if you're in one of those red states in the other... Honestly, though, now that I actually say that out loud, maybe even then, is it really acceptable, right? Is it really acceptable to have a child and bring a new life into such a horrendous world because your government has you at gunpoint? Now, again, if you're a parent who thinks like, or a would-be parent or a prospecting parent who's like, I would do anything for my kid, how about you fucking pull the plug before the whole kid thing even happens in the first place and accept the fucking jail charge? I don't know about that. But again, that's a complex issue. I'm just fucking spitballing on that one. Don't take me too seriously. But again, I am sick of this world. I'm sick of living with a bunch of fucking morons. I really am. I guess I should finish reading this article here. It's not clear whether this inflammation is the cause of brain fog and cognitive difficulties in living patients with long COVID. That's what they're calling you guys, living patients. You got dead patients and living patients. But what's the common denominator? They're patients. Cognitive difficulties in living patients with long COVID, but Laura Jehi, a researcher at the Cleveland Clinic who was not involved with the current study or the 2020 research, tells Times she's seen it impact both people with long COVID and Alzheimer's disease. We found many areas of overlap between the two, and these areas of overlap centered on inflammation in the brain and microscopic injuries to the blood vessels. To better understand long COVID's effect on the brain, the new study put more than 3,000 participants through 12 different types of cognitive tests designed to measure memory, processing speed, attention, motor control, and other thinking skills. A little over half the participants had previously tested positive for COVID and were all recruited through the COVID Symptom Study Biobank smartphone app. In the first round of testing in 2021, researchers found the cognitive impairment associated with long COVID was clear, comparable to the brain being under mild or moderate symptoms of psychological distress. And people are just living like that every day, all the time. Wait for it, and they're driving cars. They're driving cars. People that have motor function impairment from COVID driving cars or milking cows. I guess I got to do the rotation. Unless there's a lot of cows. Think about it. They're performing open heart surgeries. Doctors that don't believe that COVID is real and are probably repeatedly infected at their COVID factories every day and are probably in the groups that are suffering severe or moderate cognitive impairment, they're doing surgeries. If that shit doesn't fucking scare you, I don't know. You maybe have seen too many horror films. And now I watch horror is my favorite genre. I watch horror shit all the time. I play horror games all the time. And this shit scares the fuck out of me. Jacob's Ladder ain't got nothing on reality in the year 2023. The Shining? Are you kidding me? I would watch The Shining 15 times till Sunday every day of my goddamn life if it meant I didn't have to live in 2023 USA. This fucking shit is a horror film, and we're living in it. Oh boy. The positive takeaway: once a person's COVID symptoms disappeared, regardless of whether they had persisted for 3 months or 1 week, their cognitive function appeared to recover. So once COVID is actually out of the body, your body can recover. But what if you're just being infected every month? So that one infection just bleeds into the next. Because keep in mind, this article is referencing studies that were done before the government declared victory without doing anything and told you to go back to school, Jack. Actually, I guess in 2021, they told you to go back to school, Jack. But now, the way society functions now is if you are not getting infected every month, every 2 months, every 3 months, you're an insane outlier. You are someone that either works from home and recognizes COVID is real, or you're rich. Those are really the only options, right? So again, when you're constantly being reinfected with something over and over and over and over again, can you ever truly recover? Think about that. Yeah, but I don't know, man. You tell me. I'm sick of this shit. I really am. I really am. I really am sick. Now, again, I know on most shows you get the coddling of parents. You get the coddling of the stupid. Most online shows, most shows in general, tell you what you want to hear. Not this show. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. But, like, I have no remorse for people that are having kids in 2021, 2022, 2023, God forbid, 2024. If you are having kids in this environment and you're not like a Mark Zuckerberg or something and you can shelter your child and keep them safe, I got news for you. You are fucking fucked in the head. You are fucked in the head if you would bring a child into this. Really? You're going to bring your kid into this? So again, I may say unpopular things on this program. It's a lot easier now that I don't do the live show because I can just keep going. But like, I want people to understand I don't wish anybody ill. I want people to be better. But I'm sorry, if you ask me who I care more about, the kids who are suffering under abuse of their parents, or the parents that, I would do anything for my kid, while they send them to COVID factories, I'm going to side with the kid every day of the week. I'm sorry. I don't give a shit about how hard it is to be a parent. If being a parent is so hard, guess what? You should have set up your system beforehand. You know that parenting is hard. Have you seen television? Have you seen movies? Have you read books? Have you watched cartoons? One of the most obvious jokes when it comes to kids and cartoons, or people that are having kids, is that, boy, get hyped for not being able to sleep for 5 months. And that's just normal in society. That's just normal, yeah. Having two people who are also working like 1 or 2 jobs each not be able to sleep. By the way, they're driving cars to work and back. And then expecting them to be reasonable and good and nourishing parents, that's a joke. That's a joke. Right? If you and your partner or whatever are both working and you can't be with the kid, at least one of you be with the kid at all times, guess what? Get a roommate. Move in with grandma. Or I guess move in with your mother or your grandmother if you're having kids early or whatever. You know, that happens. Shout outs to Lauren Boebert. But like, I mean, give me a fucking break here. You know? Like, the idea that parents get to just excuse their abusive parenting under, I didn't know. Weren't you a kid? Didn't you see the fucked up shit your parents put you through and society put you through? Shouldn't you fucking know better? But no, because most people, when they want to assimilate to become part of the pack, part of the cult, and that's really what families are. They're cults. It's a cult mindset. You ever hear that thing, worship thy parents, respect thy father? Fuck that shit. That's cult shit, okay? Right? They're so desperate to be part of the cult that they repress all the shit that happened to them and pass it down to the next generation. I'm sorry, there is no excuse for having a child when you know as a matter of fact that child is going to be raised in a fucked up environment. Now, I'm not saying that kids shouldn't go through any hardship. But what I'm saying is starvation, destitution, disease, lead in the water, lead in the paint, lead in the food, fucking plastic in the food. I'm sorry, that's not hardship. That is fucking torture. And just because you're okay with the torture doesn't mean it's okay to bring a new human being into this world and inflict that torture onto them. I don't know, man. So I'm sorry. I know parents have a lot of stories on how they became parents or whatever. I know parents are like, you know, when I had my kid, I was lost and my kid made me find myself or whatever. Maybe you shouldn't be, you know, using your kid as a therapy device. I don't know. Maybe that's not right for the kid. I'm just saying. But like, I would any day of the week, I'm going to look at the kid with empathy more than the parent, because the parents are the one who put them in that situation. The parents are the one who created that situation. I get it. The world sucks. People are poor. But guess what? When you have kids, I'm not, you know, one of the common responses I get from people when I say this is, oh, you believe in eugenics. Poor people shouldn't have kids. How is that eugenics? Now, again, I get it. Right? If you're poor and the world sucks, and there's never going to be a perfect time, well, guess what? Maybe you shouldn't have kids. Until, maybe instead of spending the first 10 years of your 30s being a fucking destitute, loser, abuser parent, you spend that, I don't know, orchestrating a political movement that can overthrow capitalism or something, and maybe install a world that's worth living in, and then you have the kid, and then you can tell that kid how you were a part of saving the society so that you could actually bring them into a world that's prospering. Or you can just have the kid anyway and then just abuse your kid and, you know, just take out all of your, like, live vicariously through the kid that gets dementia when they're 15 or whatever, and then fucking, or your kid becomes gay and then you fucking torture the shit out of them. I don't know, man. I just want to say, you know, people need to hear the anti-parent perspective, because no one tells you how fucked up parents are. And I get it. I know I have parents in my audience. I know that there are parents in my audience that go like, oh, geez, she's doing this again. But I mean, sincerely, like, what were you thinking? Like, I mean, I get it. If you had a kid before the pandemic, I understand. But, like, even then, like, what were you thinking bringing a child into this world? If you're a new parent, what were you thinking to bring a child into this world as it is now without the resources to ensure that that kid doesn't get fucking COVID 15,000 times at the COVID factory? Like, what were you thinking? Now, the obvious answer, which is uncomfortable to many parents, is, oh, I wasn't thinking. I was just acting on impulse. I was just following the DNA-coded instructions in my brain. Because I guess you're not even people if you can't think. If you're just like, sex feels good. Oh boy, I got kids now. Yeah, send them to school during a pandemic. Yeah, pick yourself up by your bootstraps, kiddo. You weren't thinking. You're not even really a human. You're just a beast machine automaton who's just acting on fucking instructions that were given to them, programmed by them, to them, right? Like, were you really even thinking? Maybe you were thinking. And if you were thinking, you'd probably be thinking, man, I really am bored and I want a project. Wow, my life is really meaningless. Oh, I know what to do. Let's have a kid. That'll fucking jumpstart my meaning quest. I'm sorry, man. But, like, someone needs to get out there and tell you, parents, maybe they aren't. What is the fucking phrase? Like the golden calf or some shit? Maybe you know what I'm talking about. Maybe parents, as a group, as a demographic, aren't perfect. And maybe we should be allowed to explain why some, and in my opinion, most of the shit that parents do is kind of fucked up. Letting your kid cry to themselves to sleep, that's called torture. That is torture. And yet, it's in a lot of parenting handbooks. A lot of strict parents love to tell you, yeah, just let your kid cry themselves to sleep. They gotta learn eventually. Do they really? Is that part of vital human development, learning how to cry yourself to sleep so that you can despair in your loneliness, then no one will ever help you whatsoever, so you can have a very distant, detached relationship with people around you? Everyone's got to learn it. How about this? How about go fuck yourself? How about that? Is that possible? Can we orchestrate such a thing? I was going to do one more story here. I'm going to do just a lightning round. Fetterman says TikTok is creating warped perceptions of Israel-Hamas war. And then we got like the fucking discount Charlie Kirk right here. What was this? Like, who is that? What the fuck? So John Fetterman, I mean, we all know what's going on. He said, I am not a progressive, even though he's got 19 trillion fucking ads and fucking statements and fucking documents and all that claiming he's a progressive. This guy is going full, like, this is why young people hate politics. Because of people like John Fetterman that lie and lie and lie and lie, cheat and cheat and cheat, steal and steal and steal. As soon as they get elected, whoop! 180. They just flip and flop on every position. So I just want to say this. I've never downloaded TikTok. I've never used TikTok. John Fetterman, you're a piece of fucking shit. TikTok has nothing to do with you being a fucking goddamn war criminal, or at least a wannabe war criminal. I think anyone who sponsors the genocide going on in Gaza is a war criminal by proxy. So that's just my opinion. But again, fuck all these motherfuckers. Do I need to read this? Do I really need to do this? Oh, yes, John Fetterman says it's TikTok's fault that people don't like Nazis. Wow, really? How about go fuck yourself? So there's my last lightning round story. Go fuck Fetterman. Fuck you. Fuck the Fetterman fans. Fuck this guy. And I will say, I supported his campaign when it comes to going up against Mehmet Oz. But at this point, not going to pull any punches here. I would rather have Mehmet Oz in the Senate at this point. Why? Because that would be a whole hell of a lot more entertaining than what we have here. Motherfuckers aren't getting anything done in Congress anyway, because Republicans control the House. So you know what? I would have rather had Mehmet Oz at this point. So, anyway. Is this a soy latte? What is a latte? Does anyone know? Because I hear that phrase at, like, you know, Starbucks. Can you believe people shop at Starbucks? Like, how fucking stupid do you have to be? What is a latte? What exactly is a latte? A latte or a cafe latte is a milk coffee that is made up of 1 or 2 shots of espresso, steamed milk, and a final thin layer of frothed milk. Oh, I don't have the froth. That's why it's not a latte? Interesting. Can you believe people go to Starbucks or any fast food restaurant? But, like, can you believe people will spend money on expensive, bad-tasting coffee? Because Starbucks coffee is not good. It's really low-quality coffee. It's just that people get the sugar shit, so they're addicted to the sugar, right? So you're basically getting, like, maybe one step above gas station coffee, but with, like, a 9 trillion % markup. And then they just like put a smiley face and the frothing on top, and then you buy that because you're a fucking stupid consumerist fuck. I don't know, that shit blows my mind. It really does. You know how much this cup of coffee costs? Probably like 10 cents. I didn't count each ingredient, but probably this cup maybe 10, 15 cents. Tastes better than anything I've had at Starbucks for fucking... I've only had Starbucks like twice in my life. And once I got it for free because someone I knew worked there. And when they got off of work, they, like, brought home all the extra stuff. So I got to try, like, all the fucking cakes and the coffee stuff. So that was fun. So, just throwing that one out there. I've probably had more Starbucks products that I haven't paid for than ones that I have paid for. So, I never really thought about that, but that's pretty cool. Anyway, Christmas is coming. I don't really celebrate Christmas. I will be honest with you. I don't like Christmas. Christmas, you know, it always reminds me of unhappy, but also a little bit of happy. You know, my early childhood before I knew any better. You know, like, I remember, you know, Christmas when I was like 5 or 6 years old. That was fun. But really, since then, Christmas has brought negative memories to me. I don't really celebrate it. I don't really like it. Honestly, people being happy just in general kind of skeeves me out a little bit. Just people doing the fake Christmas cheer bullshit. You know, you ever run into someone who's like, Happy Holidays, Merry Christmas, like randomly as punctuation? I don't know. It's just, I'm not saying they're bad people. I'm just saying I don't know where that's coming from. But recently a new Christmas tradition has been, I've been making this series of Doom levels called A War on Christmas, and that's been really fun. This year is year 2 that I've been doing that. I'd like to continue doing that because that's a way for me to actually enjoy the holiday season, is I get to make parodies about how dumb it all is, and that's enjoyable to me. And I know a lot of people in my audience are trauma survivors and also just have unfortunate, family circumstances or whatever, and holidays remind them of shitty times in their lives. But I say this: create new traditions. You can always create new traditions. You may never be able to fully erase the old traditions that make you sad, but you can overwhelm and overpower them with new things that make you excited. Like, I'm excited for next Christmas. I get to make more shit. And find yourself something like that. If it's celebrating anti-Christmas, whatever it is, find yourself something that you like doing so that you can survive such a fucked up time of the year. But that's been fun. Yeah, I know today's show is a little off the rails. It's another one of those shows where I'm drinking coffee. Sometimes I do these shows in the morning. Sometimes I do it at night. So the caffeine definitely is a drug that alters my behavior on stream. So, I say a lot of inflammatory stuff on my show. That's just kind of the person I am. I'm a boundary pusher. I color outside of the lines. That's just how I am. I want to tell a story. In first grade, the school I went to in first grade, when I went from kindergarten to first grade, that school started a pre-kindergarten program that they didn't have the money to pay for. So what they did, now I don't know if anyone's ever had something like this, but this is a story I thought of recently when I used the phrase color outside of the lines. And so when I was in first grade, for I think maybe the first month or two, it was not like this, but for the remainder of the school year, the second half of the school day, so after lunch, we shared it. It was a first grade / kindergarten class. And the kindergarten teacher became the pre-K. I don't know how any of this worked. I would love to go back and analyze this stuff, but the school I went to when I was a kid literally no longer exists. It was destroyed. I actually went to the empty lot recently, and that was an emotional experience. But, so for the second half of each day in first grade, we would be given busy work because instead of teaching us, I don't know, the school I went to, I don't know what the fuck they were doing. But I remember one of the teachers would get extremely frustrated with me when we were doing coloring books because I would not follow the rules. I would draw extra pictures. So you have the coloring book picture. It's like Winnie the Pooh or some fucking stupid kid shit. And I would draw other characters interacting with Winnie the Pooh or whatever. And I remember getting reprimanded over and over. This is busy work to begin with here, right? And this is the kind of school I went to, the school that tries to destroy any creativity or any individuality from your brain. I just remember getting reprimanded all the time, and I just kept doing it because that was fun for me. It's either I'm gonna sit there and be bored out of my mind, or I'm gonna have fun and just accept getting yelled at every day. But that's a little example. That's a story. I've always been like this. I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe I just had such an intense reaction to the world, even without knowing how fucked up the world was. I've always been someone who's like, I'm gonna do this instead. And so yeah, that's what you're coming to this show for. And if you're not coming to the show for that, you probably will be offended. I don't know. One of the things about being somebody who does these kinds of internet stuff is this is a trap a lot of people fall into. I fall into it all the time, obviously, because I love going through the same trap over and over of hyper-fixating on negative stuff. One negative thing outweighs 100 positive things. So maybe I should overcorrect on that one and just not even say what I'm about to say, but I've already kind of done such a long preamble. I'm going to say it anyway. Maybe I'll work on it in the future. But, I've had a lot of people, and by a lot, I mean more than zero, right? I've had 5 or 6 people send me messages about how they don't like watching my show anymore. Because I am too outlandish in some instances, and I say, most often I don't respond, because it's like, I mean, what am I going to say to that? Like, what do you say to that? I don't know. It's just going to make everything worse. But, I think about it. I'm thinking, you know what? Who cares? They weren't watching the show for the right reasons anyway. So, but I've also received a lot of messages from people that they like this format. And, keeps me sane. This is me sane, by the way. That's me when I'm sane. But, I'm having fun. Once again, I have said I will do more frequent shows like this when we do get closer to the election. Just because, I think elections are important. Call me an electoralist. But until there is a prominent communist or socialist organization that acknowledges the pandemic is real, I'm not going to go out on a limb for anyone else and do anything else ever again in person other than electoralism. I'm just going to be honest. I've done protests. I've risked my life in cop encounters. I've done plenty of things, right, in that regard. But I'm not going to do that during an airborne pandemic that most people are ignoring for people that don't give a shit about my health at all whatsoever. I'm sorry. And, DSA doesn't give a shit about the airborne pandemic. They're pretending it doesn't exist. Unions, labor organizations are pretending COVID doesn't exist, even though it's an extreme labor issue. Disability rates are skyrocketing. People are less likely to be able to actually work. That's a labor issue, but most unions and labor institutions are actually doing these massive strikes. And instead of doing them safely and spaced out with masks on, they're getting everyone huddled together during the wintertime to give each other diseases. No wonder all the strikers are winning, because the bosses know these guys aren't going to be able to strike again in 5 years. They're going to have long COVID, so let's just give it to them now, sweep it under the rug, and we'll just wait out the clock. So until there is a left-wing organization in this country that actually acknowledges reality in any way, I'm sorry, man, elections are all I got. And plus, elections are entertaining. They're entertaining. But, I always keep my eyes out there peeled. If shit ever goes down, I'm going to be like the third one there. I don't know about the first one. Sometimes I'll be the first one, but if shit goes down, I'll be like number 2, number 3, Someone's got to make shit go down first. I'm not going to create shit going down. At least I wouldn't admit to that publicly. Anyway, I'm just kind of ranting and raving here, but my point is that I'm just disappointed. I'm disappointed that left-wing institutions and organizations, left-wing political shows like the Majority Report, have just gone full Donald Trump is the smartest man alive mode when it comes to COVID. Donald Trump was right. COVID is just the flu. Nothing dangerous whatsoever. Come to my convention. Get COVID from me. Haha. It sucks to see. It really does. But again, it's the cult mentality. Most humans want to be a part of a cult. Most humans strive and yearn to be a part of a cult. And when it comes to issues like Israel and Palestine, yes, there is a large left-wing cult that acknowledges the reality of the genocide going on in Gaza. And that's good. I'm glad. One of the cults in this country and in the world acknowledges one of the genocides. But once again, call me crazy, I am anti-genocide, full stop. So when COVID is doing a genocide, right? Now, COVID doesn't act on its own, right? The governments are allowing that to happen and lying to people. And people are too dumb to do any independent research. And they go like, yes, President, yes, you're right. Donald Trump is so smart. That's the average leftist. Donald Trump is the most smartest human ever alive. That's what they believe. When it comes to COVID, they believe Donald Trump is literally God, the Messiah of intellect. Because if you're going to conventions without a mask on, I mean, if you're going to conventions at all, but especially without a mask on, that's what you believe. I don't care how left you are. I don't care how epic your dunks on Twitter are, right? So again, most people strive to be a part of the cult. And so, yeah, you have one of the cults in this country that acknowledges some parts of reality, but they don't acknowledge the COVID reality. And I'm sorry, I can't play with that team. I'm sorry. So if you want to say I'm no longer a leftist, which I've had people tell me like, oh, you don't even sound like a leftist anymore or whatever. Like, I guess I'm not. I don't know. I don't believe that any of this, I guess any of that, because I'm in the safety of my bedroom, but I don't believe that any of that, going to Wendy's, going to Applebee's, going to Taylor Swift, going to school, going to like a shitty job that doesn't care about, I don't believe any of that is worth a lifelong debilitating illness that has no cure. I just don't. I really don't believe any of that. I don't believe a family gathering, a family reunion. Like maybe if my dead mom rose from the crypt, maybe that would be worth it. Just to get just to look at the scene that's transpiring, right? But it's like, I don't know, man. I see the shit that the humans are doing, and I'm thinking like, not me. And you know what? Whatever. But anyway, that's my show. Like I say before, above all else, this is me blogging. I say this shit here because if I don't, it starts to leak out of my eyeballs, and leaks out of my ears. And in order to prevent a leakage, I got to do an internet show. That's just how it is. That's all I got. See ya.